Hello everybody, my name is Stephen Ferry. Welcome to my channel, Perfectly Homeless. Today I'm going to do a little bit of answering questions that are sometimes asked of me. I try to put together 10 questions, which I'm going to try to interview some of these guys that I know are living in their cars, but a lot of them don't really want to talk. Others can't really talk. Some are really talkative. I'll see if I can't get somebody to agree to do it, but the questions that I'm asked are, number one, how long have I been doing this? This will be my third year, off and on. So let's call it two. I started doing this when the pandemic happened, and pretty much the reason why I decided to start living in my car was the company that I was working for closed down the gallery that I was working on. And from there, I just decided I would go sleep in my car. And the first few nights were a fucking nightmare. I had a Ford Explorer, which is pretty much uninsulated, built like a tin can. So while we were figuring out what to do, how to sleep, my first night I was miserable. I was cold, I was wet, I didn't know what to do. I had parked in a really noisy place. There was plenty of road noise. There was actually an accident right in front of me in the middle of the night. These guys were all hammered. They ran up on the curb. So the first night wasn't that great, but over time I figured it out. I learned where to park, where to shower at the gym, but during the pandemic the gym was closed, so I had nowhere to go. But there was a couple of showers that are over by where the scuba divers go to scuba dive. So it was a coin operated thing. It wasn't pleasant, but it did what it needed to do. So that's pretty much what I do. Where I park is at one of the local gyms, which is about a block from the Safeway, a block from the dollar store. So it's pretty good. There's an apartment complex that's right next to it. They kind of share the parking lot. So as long as I'm quiet and I don't make a big ruckus and I keep to myself, there really isn't a big problem here for me. The manager knows who I am. I see him eyeballing me all the time. But there's really not much they're going to do about it. Mainly, the reason why I did it was to save money. I didn't really have any income, and at the time my rent was about $950. So I just got tired of paying 60% of my income, and I just figured this was a great way to do it. Then a year later I started to figure it out. I figured out the amount of solar that I needed to keep these equipment running. I figured out what kind of budget I needed to do and how to cook for myself. I bought a lot of crap that I didn't need, and I returned some of it, and a lot of stuff I just kind of tossed. But you really only need like 2 pots and pans, a Jackery solar battery bank, which I've talked about before. It's been really great. I use it every day. In fact, it's running this thing right now. Just different little camp things. Camp Chef, like a little jet boil stove just to make coffee and warm things up. So what am I doing for money at this point? I don't have any income. I'm trying to start like a passive stock photography income. So I'm shooting some things. I'm also trying to work on some real estate photography. I do a lot of 360 work. I'm starting to work on flashing interiors. So pretty much that's what I'm trying to do this year. So if I had the opportunity to go back to living in an apartment, would I? I don't know. This has been like pretty much a fun thing, kind of like camping. And saving the money has just been incredible. And plus, I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned that I could probably overcome just about any challenge, because this was probably the most important decision that I made for a while. I was scared. When I lost my job, I'm like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? And then I just did it. And next thing you know, it's like, hey, this isn't so bad. And then I started making videos. I got a lot of encouragement from people. They're like, hey, how did you build out your Honda? What did you do for this and that, your workarounds. So I've been enjoying it. Some days are a little bit shitty, like a few nights it's been really cold, you wake up and your head hurts because it's cold. But I found that if you sleep in a hoodie, you're not going to have any problems like that because it keeps your body warmth in. So little tricks like that, which I'll probably go through and list one of these days. But those are the questions. The other one, people, do they treat you differently? The answer is yes. Not everybody understands this type of lifestyle. Like, I tell people I'm homeless, like, oh my God, that's no way to live. I'm like, well, it's one way to live. And it's not for everybody, but it's an interesting thing to try. If you think you can do it, just, clean out the back of your SUV or your van, throw a mattress back there, some blankets, pack a cooler, take a road trip, go see what you can do, sleep in a park for a weekend. You'd be surprised how you can overcome these things, like where do I brush my teeth? And there isn't anybody doing this that hasn't had to pee in a jug. I don't care if you've got a $150,000 motorhome, you probably have a piss jug. It's just the way it is. And trying to figure out how to use it while you're laying down in the back is something else too, which I don't think I can demonstrate without getting canceled. But at any rate, people do kind of look at you differently. I've applied for a few jobs and said, listen, I'm sleeping in my car right now, or I'm sleeping on someone's couches, and they never called me back. So I stopped telling people that. I think society as a whole is pretty accepting of what's going on just because of the circumstances. Everybody has lost their jobs, and everybody was at home for the longest time. So I run into some people that don't like homeless just because some of them just shit and piss all over the place, or they'll park out in front of your house forever and just make a mess of things. So, there's a few of them that ruin it for all of us. But as long as you're cool about it, you don't make a big scene, you're quiet, you'll be okay. People will treat you differently. And I found that everybody's like, oh, that's great, here's a couple of bucks. But then you move into their neighborhood and it changes pretty quickly. So that's pretty much why I'm doing this. I'm going to continue to do it until I get a job. And then whether or not I go back to normal life, I don't know. I don't think I want to. I'd rather kind of get a job and invest the money in a little bit bigger van. Like right now I'm in an SUV, which is really good. I'd like to get a van, but I'll probably end up just getting a really big SUV because they don't stand out as much. People see a van, they automatically think you're sleeping in it. But a big fat SUV is probably the way to go. Plus you can build them out pretty good these days. There's so many people that are doing this now. There's so many examples that you can see on the internet and YouTube that it makes it pretty easy. So that's where I am. That's why I started this channel, Perfectly Homeless, because it's not as horrible as people think. It's not as great as you would think. Has its advantages and disadvantages. One of them is definitely the freedom. I can go wherever I want, although fuel has been so expensive, I kind of stick right here. But I got the time to explore the things I want to do. I can, for instance, go out and play with these cameras and start shooting all kinds of stuff. Travel photography is very big in the stock industry right now. So I'm working on making 4K videos using myself and just kind of lifestyle stuff. That seems to be what the stock footage market wants right now. So that's what I'm doing. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment, and don't forget to subscribe if you like what you see. Thanks and have a good day.